Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Porch PursePectives podcast. It's been a while, it's been forever. I'm pretty sure everybody was like, "Damn, when is Nikki Red, and Ed gonna get back together?" Now, here we are. Now, and
Side, enjoying the weather and all that good stuff.
yeah, I'm currently inside at the moment because I don't have access to a porch. Up in Ohio, it decided to be a springish, early summerish type day and be hot and be warm as hell because
Mm,
it's been like the fall vibes for the last few weeks. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just happy that it's not cold as hell outside,
I
and I get
appreciate it.
yep, and I get to be here with you on the virtual porch once again.
There we are. Like, oh my goodness, this is the one thing that I look forward to every time we get together. It's like every time we link up, it's a celebration.
It's a celebration. It's a celebration.
Yes.
I'm raising the roof. Am I showing my age? I think I am.
Yeah. We ain't gonna talk about it though. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, my birthday's coming up shortly too.
Hey, turn up, turn up, turn up.
Yeah, Scorpio season. What am I doing for it? I'm not going to work. I know that much.
I know that's right.
Yeah, but hey, Eddie, you want to come to work? No. No,
Don't ever
no,
give me
no,
the
no, no.
option, do I want to? What?
Huh?
Nah, really? Don't ever give me the option of do I want to? No.
Well, see, the thing about it is my birthday falls on a Friday,
Oh
which
hell
is
no.
which is already my day of unavailability. We gonna talk about.
We'll get there.
we
We'll
got a
definitely get there.
we got a special edition of today's episode, but if you come back
Yes.
in the future, we're gonna talk about that in future episodes. So, Miss Nikki, what are we talking about today? First of all, how you doing? I'm over here running my mouth. How you doing?
Where do you want me to start?
Just to
Uh,
checking in with you.
all right, so checking in.
Mm,
And I'm gonna just give you a little glimpse, little tidbit of information.
all
So,
right.
as you know, North Carolina this time of the year, we have our state animal that stays on the road. Um, got a phone call middle of the night. My wife was in an accident.
Oh shoot.
She hit a buck,
Mm,
totaled the car.
oof.
She's good. She's okay. She walked away from the accident. Everything's good, but the car is gone. I haven't.
Mm,
There's no more Smoky in my life, and that sentimental value. But it's a car, so
mm,
we could replace a car. I can't replace her. So
that's true.
thankfully, she is good. She's okay. But it comes with the territory. The Carolina weather, when it start to cool off a little bit, be on the lookout for them bucks. But other than that, everything's been everything. Just life is still lifing, but it's been feeling a little bit better. Just the same old routine: work, home, taking care of the household, family,
Mm,
kids, all that good stuff. But for the most part, life is lifing. Um, I've been feeling better these days, so that's a good thing.
definitely a good thing.
But still some things. We still got everyday hurdles, everyday situations, everyday issues. But nothing that we can't handle, nothing that we can't tackle.
Yep, you are ever so right about that. That you are. You're ever so right about that. I mean, I've been pretty good. I can't complain. It's been a real super busy with high school football. This coming Friday will be the last regular season live stream game that we have, and it's a little bittersweet, but yet still, it's still fun. So I mean, it's just something that we do, something that we do every year. Have fun doing it, and I'm gonna miss it, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm looking for this well deserved. I'm looking for this break
Yes.
because working during a 10-week period of time, on top of having a 9 to 5, on top of doing these podcasts and everything, it takes a lot out your boy. It takes a lot out your boy. A few weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I said, Wednesdays are going to be your half days, brah. If Wednesday's your day off, Wednesday's going to be a half day for you, brah. You can, because you need your time off, because you got to have your time off, because if you don't, nah, you'll lose your stuff.
You
You
lose
lose your stuff.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not about to. I'm not in the. I'm not in the. I don't want to say I'm in the position to lose my stuff, but I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Understood. Understood. Definitely
Yes.
understood that.
So it's just I just don't want to lose my stuff, and just try to stay focused and just try to like I said, like around the last 4 months of the year, I'm always kind of watching my back because either some shifty stuff going on at work or outside of work in my personal life. So for once, my senses aren't heightened, but my guard is not let down. But
Right.
other than that, I'm good. I cannot complain.
Understood. Understood. And that's a good feeling, I know. This is one thing, for those of you guys who have been following us, who have been supporting us through this journey. Um, you guys know that we are definitely not strangers to, I say it, kind of loosely, but
Hmm.
this is always the hardest time of the year for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And following us, knowing us, you guys kind of, got a glimpse into who we are, things that we've endured, things that we've gone through, things that we've experienced. And, today is a long coming episode. We've talked
Hmm.
about it numerous times. Um, we've discussed it numerous times. We just have not had I don't want to say the wherewithal, but we just haven't had the chance to really sit down and put it together because,
Hmm.
it's not a light subject,
Mm-mm.
but it is something that I feel like needs to be discussed and needs to be talked about more because, like I said, especially with, that one time of the year being that time where a lot of people go through it, you're not by yourselves. And that's all I want to really, start this off by saying is anybody that's going through it, you are not alone. We are
Hmm.
all there with you. So, stating that, I think we'll go ahead and kick off this episode of grief.
All right,
Give
so
us-
yeah, as Nikki Red mentioned, we're not strangers to it, and I feel that, and from what it looks like, the older you get, the more you'll come about, the more you'll be able to deal, well, not deal with it, but the more it'll happen more frequently than the past. And see,
Right.
sometimes grief doesn't really relate to the losing of a loved one. It could be a ending of a long-term friendship,
Yep.
a, a long-term relationship,
Hmm.
you know, in a professional,
Separation from anything.
yep, yeah, just separation from anything. Like, if you've, been in a job for a very long time, a lot of people tend to grieve over that as well too.
Mhm.
So, I've done some research, of course.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
I'm going to read you something from the American Psychological Association that's going to talk about grief. All right.
Okay.
Grief, all right. Grief is the anguish experience, and it is from the APA.org. Grief is the anguish experience after significant loss, usually the death of a beloved person. Grief often includes psychological distress, psychological distress,
Hmm.
separation anxiety, confusion, yearning, obsessive dwelling on the past, and apprehension about the future. Intense grief can become life-threatening through disruption of the immune system, self-neglect, and suicidal thoughts.
Hmm.
Grief may also take the form of regret or something lost, remorse for something done, or sorrow for a mishap to oneself. So let's kind of scroll down here some more. So that kind of gives us the definition, if you will, of the term grief. And they gave me, like, I'm looking at it now. It just gave like the definition of grief. And see, grief. So I'll just go ahead and hop right into it.
Gotcha.
Grief is one of those things. It is sneaky. It is tricky, and it has a weight to it.
Hmm.
Prime example. Um, the first major passing I experienced was back in '95 when my dad passed away when I was 12. Um, didn't really understand the whole grief thing because, like, he passed away and I wanted to go to school the next day because I was trying to get that perfect attendance record. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that.
Right.
Yeah, I was more I was more concerned about that. Um, then on top of that, just trying to go through that and just trying to navigate through that. It was I didn't do that until later on to life, and so I didn't. I had the guidance counselor talk to me, but after that, I really didn't get any help for my mental health after the fact. It was just I had older I had an older family, and they was like, well, you gotta tough it out and get through the best way you can, because I don't know if they were privy to mental health, or mental health was not a popular topic of concern back then like it is now.
I think back then it was a little taboo as far as mental health. That's just my opinion.
Mm. Oh,
And I
your opinion is fact. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's fact. Somebody might go argue me. Somebody might try to be like, well, Ed, you don't. No, no. In the black community, for some strange reason, a conversation about mental health and getting help for it, it's strange, it's weird, it's taboo, and oh, I'm gonna be tough and any. eh, That's a whole nother topic for another day as well, too.
we'll get into that one. Um, that's crazy that we went straight into that one, the loss of a parent. Of course, I have not been in a position to say, okay, I can understand that. I get lost, I do, but I still have both of my parents and
Mm-hmm.
then some. So I have not experienced that form of loss yet. God forbid. But I have experienced, that loss of a loved one. You go back to your first loss, my very first loss, my first time experiencing that I can remember would be think I was about 12.
Mm-hmm.
This was like 98, 97, the summer of 97. Um, you know, I being military, we visit my grandparents every summer. So
Mm-hmm.
I made bonds and made friendships with a lot of people, friends and cousins down there. And I had this one guy, we all, around the same age, but him and his mom and my mom were like really, really close, best of friends.
Mm-hmm.
He was around the same age as me and my brother, and like I said, we'd all go visit. And he drowned that summer,
Mm-hmm.
and we were preparing for the summertime. We always used to have what they call the lunches at the church, where we had lunch, cold cuts, applesauce, chocolate milk, and kickball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were getting ready for the lunches this particular morning, and I remember my aunt, my grandfather's sister-in-law, I think. She usually would be the one to take us there to the, to up to the church and whatnot. And she came in and was like, "They canceled the lunches. Arthur passed away."
Oh
And
wow.
I didn't hear it. Like it was literally one of those situations where I did not hear it. It did not register when my aunt told me. I was like, "What?" She was like, "Arthur passed away. He had drowned. He drowned yesterday. Went to the beach, and unfortunately, that's one of the often occurrences being on the beach. Things, accidents do happen. But
Mm-hmm.
at 12, it hurt. I just
Mm-hmm.
it hurt. It's like one of those things where we were friends. We look forward to every summer visiting and seeing Arthur and hanging out with him and going to go play and just being kids outside. And
Mm-hmm.
so that hurt. Like it was a major, major blow at 12. And then at top of that, you've got, me and my siblings and my uncle, we're all young adolescents
Mm-hmm.
hearing this loss like that, it wasn't somebody that we just knew in passing or somebody, older than my grandparents knew. It was somebody that was our age. So we all took it really hard. And it was just like, I don't even know what the word is, but just, having to process that as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, it kind of hit different. You know what I mean? It
It
was just
did.
very different for us. But, you know, in time, we all just kind of we leaned heavily on the good memories that we did have with him and the fun that we used to have. So that did help us in that sense because we never honestly, and we, like I said, back then, mental health was not something that everybody heard of, everybody knew of. And
Mm-mm.
as a kid, nobody at one time even thought to say, "Hey, let's go get you guys some counseling," or "Are you guys okay?" They
Mm-mm.
didn't ask us that. It's just, all right, we had a situation, it happened. Now what do we do?
Yep.
So that's the one, like I said, that was my earliest recollection of a loss. But like you said, the older you get, the more you experience it.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it affects you differently, just depending on, when it comes to the loss of a person, it depends on their relationship dynamics with you or
Mm-hmm.
your relationship dynamics. The length of time that you've known them can play a major part in it, as well as, just basically your connection with that person. Any loss is going to affect you. But just
Right.
depending on how deep and how major that loss is, it affects people differently.
Yeah, it does affect people differently. And then the second and third. Oh God, the second. Let me see. I had the loss of my grandparents.
Mhm.
Um, within like 4 years of each other, there was some gap to kind of process things. Um, that hurt, but it didn't hurt hard as much because I don't want to say I had a strange relationship with my grandparents. It was just I knew they were there, and growing up, I didn't spend a whole hell of a lot of time around them. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just that. But I still felt sad. I'm like, oh man, I ain't gonna be able to see grandma and grand. I ain't got no granddad. I ain't gonna be able to see grandma and granddad no more. So it did hit
Right.
me. Um, then another back to back time it hit me once again was back in was it 03 and 05. Um, two of my brothers passed away, and it really didn't. Once again, it really didn't hit. It didn't hit because, like I said, a lot of older members of my family at that time, I wasn't estranged from them. I just didn't have a tight bond with them like that. Loved them unconditional, no matter what. I just didn't have that kind of tight bond with them.
Right.
Let's see what happened after that. Some time passed by. Um, my mother's youngest sister, she passed away, and I just remember hearing my mom just being so sad. And that was 2016.
Mhm.
2 years later, 2018, my mother passed away, and that's when it really that's when it hit
Mm.
because I'm like, damn, here I am. I'm going to be in my mid 30s, and I'm going to be what they call an adult orphan. Like my parents are gone. I can't be like, if I got a question about a car, can't call daddy and talk to him. If I need my mama for a little bit of encouragement, can't pick up the phone and talk to her. And see, at that time when my mom passed away, I was just trying to get over it and get through it
Right.
and get back to what I had to do, which was trying to, my relationship. If I'm being fully transparent, because it's the Porsche, this us.
Mhm.
My relationship was on the rocks. I wasn't happy with my place, with my job, my place of employment, the amount of money I was making. Um, Still trying to stay in school and keep those grades afloat, trying to pay bills, and just trying to make sure everything was good. And I had, and I had an incident. I damn near had an incident with a gentleman at work where he said, if his kids weren't there, he'd punch me in the face. And I'm like, well, sir, if you feel the need to punch me in my face, then I kind of feel the need to punch you back because I got to get this off me.
Right.
And little did I know that because I remember a friend of mine, she found that I came back to work so fast. Like, well, did you grieve? I was like, hell, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like you never, okay, I'm going to take this day. To me, it was like, okay, I'm not like, okay, I'm going to take this day to grieve. And I'm looking around, just waiting for something to prompt the grief and everything, and it didn't. So I went on my business, and then 2019 was an absolute blur. Right until about the time, my brother, he wound up being in the hospital and wound up passing away. Not even a year after my mother passed away.
Mm.
So you got back to back deaths, not even within a year apart of each other. And so my brother's death is what dealt me in. Think about it: daddy, grandma, grandparents, two brothers, an aunt, mom, and brother. It was when my brother passed away. I said, "Look, I have got to go get some help." It all kind of just got the best of me, like my mom ain't here and everything, and it really really got the best of me. So that's when I decided to get some help for grief counseling, which wound up turning
Mhm.
to be a mental health checkup, a mental health reset, a mental health cleansing.
Right.
I appreciate my therapist so much. Two out of the three therapists, not the third, not the second one, because I ain't gonna lie to you, she was hella fine unprofessional, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because she was more worried about her dinner as
Mm.
opposed to talking to me. I'm like, And that's another thing I'm talking about. Let's talk about courtesy real quick, shall we? Let's go ahead. Just the
Yeah.
porch, right?
Side note. Side note.
Yeah, yeah. Side note, let me take a swig of this here in ginger ale real quick. hmm When it comes to people's time, two things I don't like wasting, and two things people don't like wasting: time and money.
There you go.
One you can get back, one you really can't. So you just have to be mindful of the time. Like, man, if I'm sitting aside some time for you to help me with this, I'm looking for you to help me. Not worried about that burn up dinner you got in the oven. I said, well, let me see the dinner. Since this dinner is taking precedence over your job, your career, something you're getting paid to do, probably using some of my money out of my insurance or however they split it. And so it's just like, well, I mean, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? So, anyways, I wanted finding a third therapist. She really helped me out. So, back to the grief thing. It's something like I said, it's sneaky, and there are times like where if I see a woman with glasses, and I notice if I stare at her too long, look at her too long, I start to see my mom, and that's what will kind of get me. Um, One of my brother's favorite song was "Mrs. Officer" by Lil Wayne. He go weed weed weed. Can't even listen to that to its entirety because it'll get me in my feels. I don't want to say I try to fight it, but I don't want to be sad at that moment. I don't want to be in a way I can kind of control the grief because like, damn, I don't want to be sad. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be sad and downtrodden, and I don't want to do it.
Right.
And so it's just for me, it's just now what I try to do is I try to navigate through it through the best I can because yeah, I try to navigate around the best I can because it's just it's just like I live alone. Full transparency. I live alone, live by myself. I got a great group of friends and everything. And I have a picture of my mother on my refrigerator. So that way I don't forget what she looks like. I see her every day and I can still hear her voice in my head. So there's a reminder of her. And then there's something in here that reminds me of my brother. There's reminders of them. And sometimes sometimes I have a moment. And when I have my moment, I'll have it. But the thing about it is I won't get stuck in that moment.
Right.
So now I'm learning how to when grief hits, let it hit, let it go through you, let it do what it does. But what I know what I have to do, um I can't stay in that space for too long.
Right.
Because if I stay in that space for too long, whatever I had if say if okay, well I gotta do the Porch Perspective podcast, Sports Bros podcast, Connoisseurs of Pro Wrestling podcast, Wellness Check Wednesday podcast. Okay, so I got to do this. I got to put everything together. But it sometimes will get to a point to where if I'm in that deep funk, I'm not worried about no podcast or nobody. I don't job cheesecake. No, I don't care. I ain't worried about none of
Understood.
that. There's been some days where like I don't feel like I'll take day off from cheesecake. Makes me like must be a luxury to take time off. I said well I'm taking time off because I need it. I wouldn't consider it a luxury. I consider it me taking control over my life and not wanting to be a robot,
Right.
which I'm not. Another thing I want to talk about here, while we're on this topic of grief, is I'm now dealing with friends who have parents and who have loved ones passed away. Passed away.
Put a pin in that
Recently.
real quick. Real
Hmm?
quick. Put a pin in that real quick, because
Oh,
before we get into that, because that's another thing that I'm ready for that one. But
okay.
um, I want to go ahead and kind of explain or express the loss that put me to where I can relate, where you
Okay.
losing your mom and where that puts you. So
Mm,
um, roughly November 2008, I lost my son.
mm,
Um, my son Jalen was 2 years old, and it was a very devastating situation for me.
mm-hmm,
Um, and losing my son, when you talk about grief, one thing that I can say, like you said, experiencing that loss with your mom, and then it's not a matter of, I don't, please don't take this the wrong way, but when people lose people, I feel like this. If it's a natural cause, or they were sick for a little while, or they were older, those are the losses that I'm like, you know what? I personally, I'm okay with that. I can be
Mhm.
okay with that because you're not hurting anymore. You're no longer doing you lived your life. Things of that nature. I look at those types of situations. You had your children, you had your family around. Those things of those natures. But with me losing a child at
Mhm.
2, that was a completely different ball game for me. Completely different ball game. And with everything that surrounded that, it was a situation where not only am I dealing with my loss, but I'm also dealing with legalities. I'm
Mhm.
also dealing with, I don't have time to grieve my loss. In my opinion, again, this is my opinion. I didn't have the time to grieve my loss because now I have to worry about the next person,
Mhm.
how they're taking me, how they're looking at me, the judgment that came from that. I've literally, in my grieving process or during my grieving process, I've had family members tell me that, oh, if I could have did this, I would have did this to you. I would have did that to you. I can't
Mhm.
believe you let that happen to your baby. I can't believe you did that to your baby. And as a person, number one, it hurt.
Mhm.
So when it came to my particular instance of dealing with my loss or that loss, I feel like in hindsight, I say it was not fair the way that I was treated by a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um, in dealing with that, I literally felt isolated,
Mhm.
alone. I had nobody to turn to. I had nobody I could trust. I really felt like I had to go through that by myself. And then, when you talk about mental health and the things that kind of are associated with that and how that can affect you mentally, physically, I went through the worst part of my life feeling alone.
Mhm.
I didn't have, my kids there with me to, grieve together as a family, as a unit. My parents weren't around. My dad and my Gigi, they lived in Vegas, so they
Mhm.
had to go back home and deal with my brothers and help them, and they all grieving together, had to deal with that on that side. That's clear across the country. My mom's family, and again, it's not throwing shots at anybody, so I'm gonna go ahead and clarify that. But my
Mhm.
mom's family, they hurt me. I had
Mhm.
nobody. I could not talk to anybody because I felt like, again, that judgment. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And I get, like, when they say, when you hurt, it hurts.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it
a
does.
lot of times when you go through that, people tend to forget how somebody else may be feeling in that moment. And
Mhm.
that's when that selfishness comes into play where even though you lost, I lost too.
Mhm.
And my loss outweighs your loss because I'm feeling this way and this is what I'm feeling and I don't have the answers that I'm looking for. But the thing that a lot of people did not realize with that situation, there were answers that I didn't have.
Mhm.
There were answers to this day that I will never get. I had to learn, again, by myself for the most part. I had to learn by myself how to deal with everything that came with it. And I also had to strengthen myself mentally and emotionally
Mhm.
to not go down that path of just giving up because it was so easy to give up. It was too easy to give up. Like I said, I felt like my whole family turned their backs on me. I
Mhm.
didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody I can trust. Everybody just, what happened? What happened? How did it happen? And that's all they cared about. I don't think there were too many people that actually asked me, Ashley, are you okay?
Mm.
Not too many people asked me that during that period. Um, and even with that, going through what I went through, emotionally and mentally, I want to say I was what, 22 when this happened,
Mhm.
dealing with that big of a loss and not knowing who to turn to, what to do. I was lost. And there were moments where I was on autopilot. I literally did not know whether I was coming or going.
Mhm. Oh.
I didn't know any I didn't know. And I
Yeah.
was afraid to ask for help because again, that judgment. You did
Mhm.
this to your baby. You let this happen. I was afraid to reach out. I was afraid to talk to anybody because of the judgment that has already been passed on me. It took, unfortunately, it took for my incarceration for me to actually deal with my grief.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I'm gonna let you continue. And it's funny you say because I told myself one day, it was probably about, I don't know, February 2020. I was standing there living with my ex, and I just stood there. I was like, Lord, I'm so tired. I feel so beat up. I'm just mentally drained and mentally worn down. And I was like, it'd be so nice if everything could stop just for a little bit. Not a long time, just for a little bit.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, the global pandemic happened and the world shut down. And I was like,
Ah, careful what you ask for.
I was
Ah,
like, yeah, I guess this is it. I was like, all right, I guess this is it. But yeah, and then I think it's when we really slow down is when we really begin to. That's when our ability to process happens because when we're forced to sit down and forced to be still, be it incarceration or be it to a global pandemic, everything that you've been avoiding is at the forefront
right there you go. Now you
because
have to deal. You have no choice
yeah,
but to deal with.
yeah, and you can't run from it. So that's when I just made a conscious effort, like, okay, let me continue my therapy, let me continue my grief. I was like, oh, no one needs, and my day job as a server. There's days when I get home and get off work, especially when my ex and I together. I was like, honey, I love you, but don't ask me for nothing tonight. I'm not getting a glass of water. Your fingernail file, I'm not gonna do it. She said, I get it. You take care of people all day. And it felt good. I wanted my needs met. That's why I wanted I wanted to be
Right,
selfish, wanted my needs met. But I knew it would have been unfair to my partner at the time. It would have been unfair to her because now I feel like I'm just being selfish and finger wagging everything. So I try to make myself as not as needy as possible. But yeah, you brought up an interesting point. Like, hey, when you're forced to sit down, you'll then have to you got to deal with it because you
right,
can't run from it. And so, like I said, I think over the last few years, with me getting help and me, because see, here's the thing about something like and grief doesn't really relate to. It's more prevalent because of death, because we know that this person's gone. They suffered a long period of time, and you always ask yourself these questions in your head. Oh, what can I? Oh my God, what can I do? What can I this and what can I do? I should have done this. I should have done that. I'm gonna let you finish your story because then because I had a moment earlier this week.
oh,
Not a
okay,
bad one. It was just a moment.
gotcha.
Mm,
Um, so in a nutshell, um, dealing with those things, and like I said, upon my incarceration, I had to deal with it.
mm,
In the process of that, I'll rewind just a little bit. I ended up dealing with a familiar person, familiar
mm,
people that, regardless of what anybody says, and it is my past, but everybody, I feel like, I've heard that saying, people are in your life for a season or a reason.
mm,
And the people that were in my life at that point in time are no longer in my life now. But at that time, I needed that. I needed them.
mm,
I needed that security. I needed that care. I needed that. Let's go do this and take your mind off of things. Let's go
yeah.
out to karaoke. Let's do something and let's just go out. Let's just go.
AKA, put some clothes on. I'm coming to get you out the house.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it was. That's where it started. And it just kept going. And then it ended up getting to a point where I was able to function better.
Mm,
I actually did, I took a step out of myself when I started noticing the changes in me. I said, okay, I need help. I need to get some form of help. I need to get a handle on this because
mm,
I know I deal with depression at that point. I know I dealt with it, but it was never so deep to the point that I felt like I was spinning out of control.
mm,
Um, So I did reach out and start counseling at this local church,
Mhm.
and that was the best thing that I could have done for myself at that point.
Mhm.
Um, the young woman that I spoke with, that I was counseling with, she really opened my eyes up to think about more than just my loss, how it hurt. She didn't just necessarily, okay, let's use avoidance to not to deal with it, but
Mhm.
we'll take it little bit at a time. We'll take it step by step. Every day we're gonna do something and improve and make improvements. Every day we're gonna work on that. So that
Mhm.
helped a lot. And then I got to a point where I'm actually able to hold my head up and have certain conversations with some people, or just be out in public and be okay, and not really focus too much on, oh, this person thinks that or that person thinks that. Oh, what are they saying when I'm not here? I didn't
Mhm.
have to really think about it too much. So I utilized that security, or that circle at that time, to work on my healing journey.
Mhm.
Once I got incarcerated, once I was incarcerated, all of that was snatched away. It's like start over, completely clean slate. We got to start over. So
Mhm.
that happened, and mind you, this is all like, I literally had lost my aunt a month before I got incarcerated, and that kind of brought me back to loss.
Mhm.
This was my grandmother on my father's side, her baby girl, and I remember going to the funeral and looking at my cousins bawling. I mean, they're crying,
Mhm.
and I've never seen them like that. And all I could do was just, it's like I was walking on a cloud. I just remember my dad being there, my dad being beside me. My
Mhm.
dad said, "Come here, come on, let's go sit down. Let's go grab something to eat." He took me, and he knew I wasn't okay, but he didn't talk about it. He
Mhm.
was just like, let's just be here. Let's just be. He talked to me, and like I said, at that moment, it just brought back those thoughts and those memories of what I endured, what I went through, having
Mhm.
to hold a funeral for a 2-year-old, and the hurt, the anguish, the judgment, the anger, all of that came
Mhm.
back and hit me at my aunt's funeral, and nobody noticed but my dad. And like I said, I understand, with that situation, everybody's grieving, everybody's going through things in their own moment, but even after the funeral service, don't get me confused. I don't know the name of it, but when the family gets together and they eat at the church usually,
Mhm.
that's where it got really awkward for me, because again, I felt alone. I
Mhm.
felt isolated. Nobody talked to me. Nobody said any. I don't even know if anybody really knew I was there. But like I said, my dad sat with me. My dad was with me the whole time. So it made me feel better, but it was just, I felt like I didn't belong.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like I could grieve with the rest of my family, because me and my aunt were not close, but
Mhm.
I never would have wished anything like that to have happened. And that's another thing with grief, especially when you lose family members like that. We as humans, we a lot of times get so caught up in transgressions. I'll say that. I like that
Mhm.
word. If you do me wrong, we're not on speaking terms. I don't agree with what you've done. I don't agree with you.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna not bother you. I never got to tell my aunt that I do love her.
Mm.
And that, I think, hurt me more than anything. We made amends, sort of, without
Mhm.
speaking on it. We never spoke on the issues that we had. We just came around. And it's okay. You're my aunt. I'm gonna come visit, whatever, whatever. But we never had that conversation, and I never got the opportunity to tell her that you're the aunt that, outside of the BS that we dealt with, you're the aunt that I enjoyed. You're the aunt
Mm.
that was always fun. You're the aunt that made everybody laugh, and I
Mhm.
appreciate you. I never got to tell her that.
Yeah.
So in that process of, processing everything that lost, it hurt.
Mhm.
Upon my incarceration, that was June 2010, I dealt with anger. I was hurt.
Mm.
Why am I here? I should not be here. I don't know anybody in this state. I don't know anybody in this county. I'm here behind something I didn't do. And like I said, all that anger and somewhat self-pity.
Mm.
And within 4 months of me being incarcerated, my grandmother passed away.
Oh wow.
My grandmother that lived across the street from the high school.
Oh, so it was just one thing after another. That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those things when my grandmother passed away, sitting in county, I had no bond. I couldn't get out, couldn't go
Mm.
anywhere. That hurt so bad because I wanted to be there.
Right.
When my grandmother had cancer, the few times that I was around for her, I was somewhat there. I was there, helping her out with doctor appointments, just sitting around the house with her, helping, just helping. So when I lost my grandmother, again, that's another bam, hit me again.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, like I said, I knew that I needed help. I knew I needed help because I was angry. And that
Mm-hmm.
anger, that grief, that loss, if they're not if they're not taken care of, they can actually turn into and manifest as other issues. And I did not realize that until after my grandmother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting in fights. I was I didn't care. I literally did not care. I did not care about anybody else's well-being because I'm hurting so bad, but nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't care. I was angry. It took for, the church folks that come down to the jails to pray with the inmates and all that. It took some women, some wonderful women down there to
Mm-hmm.
really open up my eyes and help me navigate through my anger, my hurt, my sadness, my sorrow. It took them to really help me to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And my Gigi also helped me with that as well. Now Gigi is my dad's wife. So just for clarification purposes, Gigi's my dad's wife.
Okay.
Um, she helped me through that as well because I had to sit down. Like I said, you said when you are sitting still, you have no choice but to deal.
Mm-hmm.
And me having to deal made me reflect on the things that I was taught when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that helped me get through that was forgiveness. I had to learn, number one, what that is. Even though, we hear people say, oh, you gotta forgive. And it's not for you. It's not for them, it's for you. But a lot of times people don't do it because they don't understand what forgiveness is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put a pin in mine real quick to let you go ahead and pick up where you were at.
All right. No, that I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad that you really brought that up. And so thank you for sharing that story. And I greatly appreciate it. Um, where I was going with that, with the whole like for example, like I said, my story I was going to tell, my friend, his father recently passed away. And when it comes to death and grief, especially, grief that's aligned with death, I kind of, it kind of takes me back to those places. And I don't want to say it's places that I avoid, but it takes me back to those places. Like, okay, well, he just got news that his father passed away. And I remember when I got, and it kind of, I flash back to that period of time. I flash back when somebody said their mom dies. I flash back to that period of time when, when their brother dies. I flash back, mom, all them. I always flash, and I always, like, and I kind of just like me now looking at me then, if that makes sense. And I never understood, I understood when I was young, my dad passed away. Like, okay, why are all these people just here in the house? This is our house, mom. What are we doing? But I never really asked questions. I think it was just the norm of what people did because a lot of folks back down south where we're from, they do things that some people don't, and it's considered a norm. And just having people at the house doing the, I don't know what's that called, the gathering, the comforting period. I don't know the official name or title for it, but I call it a lot of people in your house, making sure you're good and everything,
I want to say, is it the repass?
something like that.
Okay, we'll go with
Yeah,
that.
repass, bunch of folk. Okay, the repass and everything. So it's just there's a lot of people just sit there. I look at it like this. Now, Well, let's go 2019. I look at it like this. I got a lot of people in my house sitting in my in my private space.
Right.
I just want to have a moment to boo-hoo, cry, be by myself, and do what I need to do without having
Mhm.
all these people around, because I understood, now I understand, okay, I understand why that's being done. It's to comfort you, to let you know that you don't go, you're not going through this by yourself. But see, but like people say, well, what you don't want to do, you don't want to isolate yourself. And I'll be honest with you, Nikki, I don't think isolation is that bad. I don't think it's that bad. Sometimes you want to get away from the noise and the stuff of other people and be left the hell alone. I'm gonna put a pin on that one, but I'm gonna go back to my original story. I'm a little all over the place. It's still fresh in my
It's
head.
all good.
For me, when I see people grieving, I tend to check on them and then I give them space.
Mhm.
There are times I'm not gonna call you every day leading up to the funeral. There's times I'm not gonna text you every day leading up to the funeral. I'm not gonna call you and text you every hour on the hour. Because me personally, I feel like that's me smothering. And I know I don't like being smothered. Well, Ed, you shouldn't put your personal feelings. Look, 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 look. I've been there before. I've been there before. So yes, I can put myself in this. I don't make it about me, but yes, I can put myself in this person's shoes because I've been there. I
Right.
know what they're feeling. I know what they're going through. So I'm gonna put myself in it. So normally, like a friend of mine, she's like, well, did you check on your friend? Check your friend. I'm like, yes, I checked on them. Why are you gonna send flowers? No. Well, you gonna do something for them? Da, 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 da. I said, look, 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 look. Me and his friend had a conversation, and I really wanted to be down. Even when I watched the funeral online, I said I should be right there with him. But
Mhm.
he said, you know what, man? We'll link up for Thanksgiving.
There you go.
And I remember calling him the night his father passed away, and he was in his feelings, rightfully so. And he kept telling me, man, thank you just for being there for me. You've always been there. You've always been there. Even when there's times I feel like I've not been there for him, I've been there for him. And for him to recognize that and to verbalize that, I can sleep easy at night. I mean, I sleep pretty good at night anyway, but yet and still, I can sleep
You
easy at
crazy.
night. Yeah, I can sleep easy at night knowing that my best friend just told me that.
Right.
And because sometimes when this happens, okay, I wish I could do more. And see, sometimes I think some people, they can do entirely too much.
Oh, yes.
They can
Oh,
do
yeah.
they can do entirely too much. I'm not that kind of person to be doing entirely too much because I know how it feels to be overwhelmed, over emotional, smothered,
Overstimulated.
overstimulated. Promise, I'm gonna tell you another story.
Mhm.
When my brother passed away in 2019, I said, okay, we gotta go through this again. I'm hoping it's the last funeral I gotta go to for a while. I remember coming home. I think I came home on a Thursday, maybe. His funeral was Monday, and I left Tuesday. By Sunday, I was tired of people in my damn house. I was tired of them. I was just tired. Just by the time I get up, and as the night progressed, people just started coming, and I'm like, and I'm sitting looking around. I'm like, I just want myself and my other brother here.
Right.
You can come by, but don't stay, if that makes sense.
One thing I've noticed with a lot of people that go through those types of situations, I do notice that I see it a lot, especially on Facebook, where people actually say, visiting hours,
Hmm.
visit with the family. We're no longer taking visitors. Like, it's sad
Yeah.
that you have to tell people that because they do not realize that, yes, I appreciate the support. I appreciate you being there, but there is a such thing as too much. There
Yeah.
is a major, like, in certain events, in certain situations, I could understand if the person that is grieving that loss asks for you to be there and
Hmm.
asks for you to stay. I need somebody here with me right now. I
Yeah.
just need you here. I don't need you to smother me with, "Oh, are you okay? Oh, how are you feeling? Oh, 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 oh." I don't need that. But what I do need is just somebody to be here.
Hmm.
And I think what that does with some people. Again, I can't speak for everything. Again, this is just my opinion. But what I feel like it does for some people is in the event that you, like you say, you lose a parent,
Mm-hmm.
that extra entity or body in the house kind of fills that void
Mm-hmm.
for that. You don't have to do anything. You can sit there watching TV or go do some laundry or wash some dishes. It fills that void because if my mom was here, that's what she would be doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
If my dad was around, he'd be doing this. So it kind of helps feed that void. And that's part of the healing process. It's like, okay, prime example, if you think about like a baby, right? You got a
Mm-hmm.
baby, and those babies have certain milestones.
Yep.
You have, newborn babies that are either breast or bottle fed.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you have to wean that baby off that bottle.
Yep.
And that's, in my opinion, that's how kind of how grief works. You have to wean yourself to be okay with this new normal.
Yep. And I got another story to tell too. I've been waiting to tell. Well, I'm gonna finish telling the story about my friend. I'm gonna tell you this. I've been. I don't want to say I've been dying to tell the story. I promise. No pun intended. No pun
No
intended.
pun intended.
No, none whatsoever. Let me knock on some wood. Let me grab a tree. Let me
I'm gonna knock on
slap
wood
this.
for you.
Yeah, I'm slap on this cardboard box, something. So, anyways, so my friend was adamant that, hey, you need to be there. You need to be there with him. I'm like, look, I like, okay, if I go down now, that's a quick turnaround. That's gonna be a quick turnaround.
Hmm.
Then I want to go home, come home Thanksgiving, so it's gonna put me a little pinch financially.
Right.
So I just, I had a conversation with him. He said, hey, man, we'll link up Thanksgiving and we'll go from there. I just
There you go.
appreciate you calling me and I appreciate you checking on me. Because a lot of times I tell a lot of people, whether they got depression, grief, or anything, if you need me, I'm here.
I think that speaks volumes for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I can say, with me personally, I have had so many family members that have transitioned, I could say,
Mm,
over the last, since I've been back in North Carolina, I'll even say,
mm,
friends, family, all of that. And I remember the first loss that, I really was there for somebody for, but I hurt. It hurt me.
mm,
At the time, my best friend lost her dad. And it hurt because I was in Vegas, there in South Carolina,
mm,
and I couldn't do anything. I could not physically be there.
mm,
And I know that, when I lost my son, she was there. So I felt like, okay, what can I do? So it just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I can't physically be there for you right now in your time, but let me just check on you. Let me make sure you're
yeah.
okay. Let me let you know that if you need me, I don't care what time of night it is, I don't care what time of day it is, call me.
Yeah.
Call me. Or let me know, like I'll call and check on you, whatever. Whatever we have
Mm,
to do to make sure that you are making it through,
mm.
we'll do that.
And I,
So
oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm saying, and I think sometimes people's like, oh, that's such a vague statement. I think that people who haven't experienced death as far as like grieving a parent or grieving somebody in general, it's easy for them to say, well, that's a pretty vague statement. You ain't walked in these size 13s these last 25 years. You haven't
How that
done
song
that.
go? Oh, it's a gospel song. You don't know my story. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, you don't know my story. You haven't walked a mile in these shoes in the past 25, 28, ooh, 29 years. Yeah. These past 30 years. These past 30 years. You haven't walked a mile in these shoes. So I don't expect you to your sympathy and your empathy, I don't expect it. But what I do when people tell me, oh, it's a vague statement, like, look, to me, it's a statement that leaves it there. The offer is there. I'm not gonna beg you. I'm not gonna be in your face. I'm not gonna, bust down your, I'm not gonna do that because I know how it felt to be annoyed because what happened was, like I said, my brother passed away. When that Monday night came around, I was like, I have got to get the hell out the house. That's my own house, but I had to get the hell out of there. A friend of mine, she had a karaoke gig down in Myrtle Beach. I'm at a bar in Myrtle Beach chilling, happy, happy as a clam, happy,
Hmm.
happy because I'm just not around people. Just well, and I understand I understand people mean well, but
Yes.
sometimes you got to read the room or read the porch.
There you go.
Sometimes you get okay, well, damn, okay, well, shit, okay, they look a little tired. Hey, man, finna get up out of here. I see y'all tired. If you need anything between here and Wednesday or whenever the funeral is, please feel free to let me know. And that's how I live. Like I wanna let them know that, hey, you're not by yourself, and I do need you. But physically, I'm gonna give you your space.
Right.
I'm gonna give you your space so you can process this and do this on your own. Because guess what? You got a house full of people in your house for 5 days. But guess what? They're gonna come to the day of the funeral. They might stay a day, they might stay a few hours after the funeral, but then the next 3 to 4 days is back to business. It's back to business, and it's back to what you had going on before. And so it's just eventually you're gonna have to, what I say about grief, you never get over it.
No.
You don't know how to get through it. So that's one
And I
story.
can, hold on. I'm gonna rephrase what you just said.
Hmm.
It's not that you get through it. You learn how to cope with it.
Yeah, how to cope. Yeah, how
You
to deal with it.
learn. You have to relearn your new life,
Hmm.
and there's never a specific or a right answer on, well, how do you deal with this.
Hmm.
There's no right answer for that,
No,
because
no,
nobody
no,
nobody can tell you.
no.
Nobody can tell you how you properly grieve your dad. How do you properly grieve your mom, your
Mm-mm,
grandma, your aunt,
mm-mm,
your child, your
mm-mm,
sister,
mm-mm.
there's no right way. That's like the commercial used to say, there's no wrong way to eat was it a butterfinger.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to eat a Butterfinger. Yeah.
There's no wrong way.
Mm-mm.
Some people, no, let me rephrase that. There is a wrong way to grieve, but
Yeah.
everybody's different. You have some people that, especially nowadays, with this drug crisis,
Mm-hmm.
you got a lot of people that are losing classmates, brothers, sisters, siblings, like kids.
Mm-hmm.
And what they turn to is something just as harmful as what they lost their loved one behind.
Yeah.
When you're drinking and you're getting torn down, you're drunk, like
Mm-hmm.
you get
Out of
stupid
your
drunk.
mind, just
Listen,
gone out of your mind.
I get the pain that you're dealing with and you're trying to cope and you're trying to deal with it. But what did that do? What did that help? It didn't bring them back. And that's the thing that I really wish sometimes I could tell people when I see them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing anything to make this situation better. Yes, you're numbing yourself in the moment, but what if? There's always a what if.
Yeah.
You get four sheets blown through the wind and decide to get behind the wheel of a car. Or you get blackout drunk. Next thing you know, you got I'm going to say SA case because you didn't know that you touched this girl.
Because you tripped.
You didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
You just know that you were hurting. It
Mm-hmm.
started from you hurting.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those losses, the one thing that I tell people, I even tell like dealing with, my other half, dealing with some familial losses that she's dealt with as well, older family members that she remembers from way back in the day. Oh, this was my clothes. We were close. We were you have to hold on to the memories, the
Yeah.
good memories that you've
Mm-hmm.
had, because those experiences, like I explained to her, the experiences that you've had with that loved one are very unique and very one of a kind. Nobody else have that experience with that person that you had.
But you.
That's a blessing. When you have
Oh,
that
yes.
favorite cousin that passed away
Mm-hmm.
and it hurts because you don't understand, why did they have to go? We were like thick as thieves. We were like, that was my right hand. Like, now I
Mm-hmm.
don't have anybody. Now I'm alone. But you're not looking at the blessing in this situation. You're not looking at, we had some good times. We did some dumb stuff.
Yeah.
We
Like
have
like
some
like
memories.
like you said, it's a lifetime of memories.
And a
It's
lot of people don't think about it like that. A lot of people look at, you know,
yeah. It's just, and also the other part of the story, when my brother passed away, you're gonna love this one. Like, so when I flew back from Ohio, from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, back in 2018, the house was, when I came back here, my house at the time was quiet, calm, peaceful, and I was okay to deal with people. The following year, not as much because I damn near got into it with somebody at work. I think I mentioned earlier, um, a guest at work, and I just wasn't my best. My manager was, he said one of the most dumbest thing. Well, you seem distracted. I'm like, look, bro, I know y'all talk. I know you manage as you as managers. I know you mofo's talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going on with me. I'm trying my best to hold in the road. Don't insult me like that. Don't insult me like that. Look, I'm here because I got these bills. And just because somebody dies, them bills don't stop.
Not at all.
They keep
Life
going.
does not stop at all, and that's another thing that people think. Some people kind of, they grasp that.
Yeah.
So it's life. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, time does not stop for you to
No.
grieve, for you to be down and go through what you're going through. You just have to learn how to go through it and keep going.
Yeah. And that's why a certain amount of us really don't have time to grieve because the rent's due the next day. That $6 that you got to pay on your cable bill that you didn't have at the time, you got to go and get that. You got to go, you got to get back on it. Unless somebody gets together, put a car together and give you some money. Did any of my jobs do that? I don't think they did. Anyways, but yeah, I said it. That's another subject that kind of that irks me and makes me itch. But I've since learned how to move past that. So anyways, the story was a former coworker of mine that introduced my ex-girlfriend and I. Um, she decided she wanted to come up here for Christmas, and I'm like, well, I don't know where she's gonna stay because she kind of got a habit of wearing out a welcome. Don't know when to leave. Want to be an inconvenience, if you will. And so she decides she wants to come up. I'm like, I don't want a house. The same feeling I had in South Carolina the day before my brother's funeral was the same feeling I had when I got back here. I'm like, look, I told my ex, I said, your brother, his kids, and his wife, they could come up because I'm okay around them. But when this one comes up, she got to call this one, she got to call that one, and next thing you know, we got a house full of people. Or as I call it, yeah, HFOP. We got a house full of people. I said, you know me, I'm a social person and I love having people, but
Mm-hmm.
now is not the time. And so she was there, and I was like, look, I said, I promise I ain't trying to be an asshole. I said, but I'm not up for entertaining tonight. Who told them they could stay here? They got to go. They got to go. They got to go. So what happened was I stayed to work a little bit later because I'm like, I got people at my house now, and I'm just over here just like just aggravated to the nth degree. And so I'm driving home, and I'm saying to myself, I hope she got him out the house. I look, the former friend was there. The former friend brought up somebody from Atlanta. I'm gonna bring Eddie surprise. I don't want a surprise. I don't want what you. I've never had a chance to tell them this, but in case they catch wind, they'll never. It's like this: a lot of your own people don't listen or watch or support you. It's others that do. So be
Typically, yeah.
so be thankful for the others. Be thankful for the others that see you on the street, and just be thankful. Nothing against family. Family and friends, they'll halfway support you. Strangers sometimes can be your biggest supporter, be it in
Yeah.
whatever, be it whatever you got going on. But you know, Ed, I support you. Matter of fact, there's this girl on social media. She does crochet. I love everything she does. I love it, love it, I love it, and she good looking too on top of that. But anyways,
Wow.
yeah, and she fine. I ain't gonna lie to you. But anyways, she has a talent, and I love she do, and I support that. So the fact that like this friend was like, okay, I'm gonna bring somebody up here. I'm also going to let my son know so they can bring their family over and we can have a house full of people. I'm like, okay. So I come up to the house, pull up in the driveway. I can't even park my damn car in the driveway. So I'm fuming mad. So I'm
Mhm.
sitting in the house. I said, look, you gonna go in the house, you gonna go upstairs. Just go in the house, take your shoes off, go upstairs. Take a shower, go upstairs, go to bed. They was like, hey, Eddie. I was like, went upstairs. Ain't say nothing. So me and my ex proceeds to get into an argument.
Oh shoot.
And I threatened to leave. All because I needed that space to grieve. I
Mm,
figured at that point in time, I was ready to grieve everything, my mom and my brother. But having these extra people at the house did not help. Like I said, if my girl was there and her brother, his wife, and their kids, I'm fine with that because they don't wear out their welcome. They know when it's time to get the hell on. But this particular person did not take in account, like, you know what, Eddie might need some space. We can come see it, and we come see him tomorrow. We might need to shake around. So what happened was me and my ex, we, verbally got into it. I'll admit that I wasn't in the right state of mind because I was grieving. Because when you're grieving, you're never in the right state of mind,
no,
and you don't know. You never know what
you're acting off full emotion.
100% control your emotions. Okay, yeah. Hey, your mom and dad, your brother died within a year of each other, and tell me how that works, Mister Control. Um,
That part.
Yeah. So it's dealing with all that, and then it's just like, damn, it's just like one thing after another, after another, after another, and we got into a little verbal spat. Um, I didn't see the people. The people stayed the night, and I said they got 30 minutes to get they. Pardon my French, and make sure you put the E on this. They got 30 minutes to get their shit and get the fuck out the house.
Mm.
They
30
got 30,
minutes.
they got 30 minutes.
And that don't mean
29:50,
that don't mean me
20,
picking your shoes up and grabbing it in 30 minutes. That means you need to be out, clear out.
29:59, 29:58, 29:57. I said, I ain't playing. 29:56, 29:54. They was out about 20 minutes.
Mm.
And then now and then after that, well, you know what? I'm through with him and da 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 da. Whoa, 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 whoa. So now you're mad at me because you didn't get the reaction out of me that you wanted? Excuse me, my brother just passed away. Hello? Can we at least be cognitive and be aware? Since we like be cognitively aware, she said. Can we be cognitively aware of, like, this the fact that, hey, um, his brother just died. Let's come check. I'm gonna be up here for a few days. Let's come check on him a couple of days from now.
Or even if I check on you in the same day or whatever the case may be, not gonna stay long.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
just a
not,
fact.
because I don't know what your mind. I don't know what your state of mind is. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And the thing about it is, like, this person hadn't reached out. I mean, this has been like 2019. I think I finally started talking to them. Um, Back in 2022. That's never been brought up, and that relationship that me and that person has been strained and ain't as close as it once was, because I figured out the bullshit. I figured out the BS. I figured out was, okay, well, you want to come in here, you want to stay here, da 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 da. You think you're being good, but you're really being an inconvenience. Like, hey, you gotta know when to get the hell out. Why don't you go to your other place where you used to stay and go be inconvenience over there? Because you can't come over here right now because it's not a good time. It's not a good time.
Let's,
Love you, but it's not a good time. What's up?
let me talk about inconvenience.
Oh, here we go.
All right. So,
We cooking now.
oh, we cooking. So, when all this happened with my son, like
Mhm.
I said, I had a lot. There was a lot of legalities going on at that time as well. I dealt, like I said, dealing with selfish individuals.
Mhm.
Um, what's the word I'm looking for? When you just, I have no sympathy or empathy for what you're dealing with. Do
Yeah.
you realize, and I'm speaking on this now, and if any of those young ladies feel like, hey, maybe I should reach out to clear my name, by all means, Facebook page is wide open.
Sure. Come on. Come on.
Facebook page is wide open, sweetheart. I am not private.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, if the shoe fits. So there were a few females around at the time where I lost my son.
Mhm.
And there were some hurtful things said from these females about me and the situation that happened with my child,
Mm-hmm.
that they took it upon themselves to say, you know what, I don't like her, so I'm going to speak on her situation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to speak and say these hurtful things to this woman that just lost a child because I got my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I have had multiple people say that out of anger because they didn't like me or whatever the case may be. I've had my own cousin tell me, "Yeah, well, at least I got all my kids." First of all, time out, pause, sweetheart. We're not doing dealing with that touchy of a situation
Mm-hmm.
at that time. I did not understand why a lot of women, moms to say the least, why a lot of those females felt it was okay to go there with me. And I'm not talking strange people or people I don't know. I'm talking at the time, the guy that I was dealing with, his brother's baby mamas,
Mm-hmm.
his brother's girlfriends, my own cousins. You all have children of your own.
Mm-hmm.
And you spoke like that on me and my situation, knowing that that's not something anybody would ever wish on them. I, to this day, I don't like none of y'all, but I would never wish that type of pain on another mother. I would never wish that
Mm-mm.
type of pain on another female,
Mm-mm.
another woman. Because the thing that I don't think anybody understood, again, I was 22 when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those women, females, moms, were older than me.
Yep.
So, in light and in retrospect, instead of being somebody to uplift, motivate, and encourage in one of the darkest moments, even if you can't relate, you know what
Mm-hmm.
it felt like to push that child out of your body.
Yeah.
You knew what it felt like to hold that baby in your hands for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? That when I tell you my hurt from that time frame from 2008 to 2013, I went through hell emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
mentally. I have had people tear me down. I have sat at the edge of a river ready to jump in knowing I can't swim.
Oh
I
wow.
have tried to take a whole bottle of aspirin that I should not be taking. I have
Mm.
tried these things because I felt like, one, don't nobody care.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I would probably be doing everybody a favor if I wasn't here.
Mm.
The only thing that kept me going was the fact that I had a son and a daughter that was still here. That's the only thing that kept me going. That's the only reason that I kept pushing forward. It's the
Mm-hmm.
only reason I kept pushing through. And again, I haven't been perfect. I will be the first to admit that I've not been a perfect person, let
Mm.
alone a perfect daughter, a perfect wife, a perfect mother, a perfect sister. I have not been perfect. But I've always had that mentality of saying, I was raised better than this.
Yeah.
I would never say some hurtful stuff like that about a woman and her child or
Mm-mm.
a situation that I don't even I've never experienced myself. I would never speak on that. So when it came to that inconvenience of being ridiculed for a
Mm-hmm.
situation that nobody understood,
Mm-hmm.
then for the people that I had around me, I'll be honest and transparent again, we're on the porch. I was dating this guy
Mm.
at that time, and I had everybody that was so against. Oh, why are you doing this? Your baby ain't even been in the ground that long, and you already with the next man.
Jesus.
How do you feel that's for you to speak on?
Ain't
You
any
could have
business.
your opinion, but keep it to yourself.
Ain't any
Because
business.
what you don't realize is, regardless of my relationship status with this man, I'm here for a reason. He's here for a reason.
Yeah.
He knows what I've got going on. And granted, it is what it is, but there was a reason that we were together at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just, oh, well, we're just together just to be together. We're just doing this just to, we both were actually, and that's why, when we talk about grief, let me just kind of elaborate too. When you grieve a loss, it is not necessarily a death of somebody. It is not necessarily a death. A loss is a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that person is gone away, whether it's incarceration, whether it's adoption, anytime that something of value to you is taken away from you, you grieve.
Oh yeah.
And the guy that I was dealing with at the time, he was grieving. He was grieving a loss. So we just came together to heal together. And that's primarily what it was. But just the thought that, a lot of these outside looking in folks
Mhm.
had so much to say about what I got going on. But the crazy part about it is I pose the question to everybody that does that or has done that. Where were you when I needed you?
There it is. Since you got so much to say, since you got so much input, since you seem to have the answer, I need you. Where you at? Or when I need you, I couldn't find you. You got so much to say, so much input, so much good advice about what I should be doing with this one and that one. But the main time I need you, yeah,
Crickets.
can't
Crickets.
find you.
Crickets. I had my own cousin tell me she wanted to put me through a tree because after I saw that baby laying in that casket and girl, it took everything in me not to put you through a tree.
You want to try it now? Since it's on your mind, ain't got nothing to lose.
Let me tell you, that's part of the reason, honestly, that is a lot of the reason that I don't really go down to visit, my grandparents and everybody down there because
Mm.
I have grown so much from that part and that time in my life that I don't think I can handle dealing with that now. I
Mm.
don't think I can I don't think I would be proud of the person that I would be in that moment.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you what I think it is, and this might be another topic for another show, or we may have tackled it already.
Mhm.
You know the mind frame of the people that we grew up around back home.
Yes.
Mind frame, mindset.
Mhm.
To a point, we've adopted the same mind frame and mindset. But what we've done, you and I, Nikki Red, we've gotten out of that area and seen a different part of the country, different part of the world. And we cultivated a mindset as where, oh, you mean tell me I can leave Boot Hill, I can leave the Neck, I can leave Horry County, I can leave South Carolina, and I could go to Atlanta and do this. I can go to Charlotte and do this. I can go to Texas and do this. Cleveland, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, New York. I'm naming all places because that's why I know people have gone. Florida,
Las
um,
Vegas, Nevada,
Las Vegas,
LA,
Nevada,
California.
Canada,
Now
LA,
let's go to
California.
Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska. Yeah, you mean tell me I've been around this mind frame, this stinking thinking for so damn long, but I can leave and be better and grow and evolve. This is not a slight to where we are
You
from.
forgot one word,
What's up?
and heal.
And heal. Yeah, I can grow, evolve, and heal. Like I'm saying, this is not a slight to where we come from because
Not at all.
I love it and I'm ready for my pot of chicken ball when I come home. But
Ooh, we
yet
missed the
still,
ball. We missed the ball golf.
it's
I'm
it's
sorry.
it's we're gonna have to make some arrangements. I know it's every
Yeah.
October. I know it's like the
Yes,
second or
they
third.
already had it. I saw the post. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
saw it. I saw it, and I was quiet on it because I didn't want to disturb your peace.
I know it's the second or third week in October. I know that for certain.
We just missed it.
Got got to get down there next year.
Okay.
I don't care if it's like 30 minutes. I got to get down there next year.
30 minutes. Oh no,
Nah, no, 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 no,
I
no,
gotta
no, no,
get
no,
my
no.
inner fat girl ain't gonna let me sit down there for 30 minutes. I'm gonna sit down
Nah.
there for about 30 days.
Hell no. I'm gonna grab me a box and take something back to the house. Ed, how
I
long
mean,
you
that's
down here
fair.
for? How long you down here for? 3 days. What's for
I
dinner?
gotta sleep it off. I gotta sleep it off though.
What's in that refrigerator for 3 days? Chicken ball for 3 days. Yep, three plate. Yeah, exactly.
There
But
you go.
but what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. We got this. So it says not a slight
Yeah,
towards.
it's not
Oh,
a slight to it's not a slight to anybody back home because I've learned. I tell people I was like, yeah, I got a high school diploma. Yeah, I got a college degree, but some of the best education I've received has been right on the front porch. Hence the emphasis of the Porch PursePectives podcast. Yeah, because some of the best free and some of the best, most freest, most valuable education you ever learn. So it's just learning how to do that and see. I think what it is with you, Nikki, like the reason you can't go home because you've leveled up, and the BS that they're on, you ain't got time for it because that's all they know. Because guess what? Majority of them you talking about, they still right there going to them same grocery stores, going to them same restaurants, working them same jobs, wash, rinse, repeat.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the life that you choose, that's the
Nothing.
life that you choose. But in the same sense of saying empathy,
Yeah,
empathy, you realize how much better these familial bonds could be if people had more empathy with each other.
it'd be great.
It would. I've literally, like, even when we talk about grief, right?
Hmm.
I've watched so many people pass away in the last few years.
Yeah.
Aunts, uncles, cousins, all of that. And instead of, oh, let me duck and dodge, oh, I stop in and say hey, or I'm watching from a distance, it actually inspired me. And I can say that. It
Mm.
inspired me. I said,
Hmm.
you know what? We never know when it's our time. We
Nope.
never know when we're going to lose the next person.
Mm-mm.
So what I did was I actually got together with my uncle, and it's my mom's younger brother. And we put together a little, makeshift family reunion
Hmm.
with my grandparents that are still here.
Hmm.
And we said, you know what? We need to start planning something annually just to celebrate them, to get to know all of our nieces, nephews, cousins, all of that, to see them, to let everybody know, you know what? Whatever issues I have as your family member, they don't have to be. We sat down that weekend, and I mean, all of my aunts and uncles didn't come, but for the ones that did come, I had a wonderful time. We
Hmm.
enjoyed ourselves so much. I brought my son. He was welcomed with open arms. My wife was actually, well, I mean, she was welcome. We had a good time. We had good laughs. We talked. We didn't do a lot of crying, but we talked. We
Hmm.
conversated. And I actually opened the floor and I said, listen, to my aunts, my uncles, my anybody here, if there's anything that I have done that has upset you or made you mad or made us to the point that we don't talk, now's the time.
Just clear the air. Yeah.
Let's clear the air because I don't want to go forward like this. I have little cousins. I'm the oldest grandchild. I have younger cousins that I've never met before.
Hmm.
My son has aunts, uncles, and cousins that he's never met before. How do we move forward as a family unit if we can't be a family? And that's the thing that I look at when it comes to grief
Hmm.
and loss. Yes, it hurts. Yes, we go through it. Yes, it's an emotional journey, but the big picture at the end of the day, and that's why I said I'm gonna go ahead real quick and give my cousin a shout out. I did this. I really came to you, Eddie, to do this episode because my cousins, they
Hmm.
lost their grandfather, and their grandfather was really close with us. My brother grew up talking about Uncle Buddy, Uncle Buddy. That's all he talked about, Uncle Buddy.
Hmm.
Lost my Uncle Buddy a couple years back. Literally, I think it was either on or right the day before, right around my birthday. He
Uh-huh.
passed away.
Hmm.
And my cousin is struggling with it. And I get it. I want to say, hold on, let me think, make sure. Okay, yes, my cousins, they're struggling with it. Um, one of my cousins, not only did she lose her grandfather, but she just recently lost her father, and she's still dealing with it.
Hmm.
Shout out my cousin. I'm not gonna name you by
Yeah, but
name.
you know who you are. But you know who you
Yes,
will.
you know who you are. I don't think I don't see what's going on with you guys, and I want to say that. Just know that my heart's out there for you.
Hmm.
We might not talk every day. We might not really know each other really well, but you're my cousin, you're my family, and I love you nonetheless. I see what you guys are going through, and you guys have inspired me to do what I'm doing with my family now.
Hmm.
You guys inspire me to be closer to my dad. You guys inspire me to honor my grandparents. Regardless of what they say, or regardless of what we've gone through in the past, you guys inspire me to honor them while they're here. And I
Hmm.
wanted to speak on that and say, me seeing you guys going through that, it hurts. And I understand that. We all understand that. It hurts.
Hmm.
But just know in due time, it's going to be okay. Y'all are going to be okay. Those memories, like we stated, those memories that you guys have, only you guys have them.
Hmm.
That's something for anybody else out here to envy because Even though, yes, I said I knew who my Uncle Buddy was, but that was not my grandfather. I don't know what he was like as a granddad. And from what I'm seeing, he was awesome. He was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He was human, but he was amazing. Y'all got that. And I'm happy for you on that. My cousin that lost her dad, you had an amazing relationship with your dad, from what I understand, and you got that.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on to that. You guys got to hold on to it. That's the only way that you guys are going to be okay. Hold on to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Have your moment. Have your time. If you need to cry, cry. If you want to scream, you want to yell, whatever you need to do to get it out, do it. By all
Mm-hmm.
means, do it. But just know that when it's all said and done, y'all are good. You guys are so good. Even my ex best friend, she lost her dad. And I'm gonna go ahead and take it a step further and shout her out too,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that man was everything to you. Hold on to that.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
And in the process of holding on to the ones we've lost, cherish the ones we still have.
Got to.
I'm gonna get off my soapbox now.
No, no, hey man, you know this is what we do this for. To do this, to talk about things. It's the porch. It's the porch. It's the virtual porch. One day, sooner rather than later, we're gonna get together and it's gonna be the virtual porch all in one spot. So, that's gonna be fun too.
Oh my
Mike,
goodness, I'm looking forward to it.
you gonna have a mic. I'm gonna have a mic. We're gonna be talking. It's gonna be going through the computer and all that fun stuff. But
There you go.
yeah, yeah. So it's just grief is just one of those things where it's you run through a you run you I think you run through the whole entire gamut of emotions. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, um, happy for 5 minutes, crying your eyes out the next. You go happy. You deal with all the feels when it comes to grief. So real quick before we get up out of here, like I said earlier, there's like for me, and I know that we all show our empathetic and sympathetic. I know it's different. It ranges. So I found some stuff online, of course, and Miss Red, I'm gonna see the link as well too. It says, let me just read a few things. It says from News and Health in NIH.gov. It's from 2017. It says coping with grief after a loss. It's a pretty good read about adapting to loss and just explaining everything. And it found some way, and it tells you about the types of grief. I mean, sometimes you got complicated grief and
Mhm.
depression. I learned that a lot. And then it talks about life beyond loss. But when I'm going to do a scroll down, I'm talking about some of the wise choices when it comes to coping with loss. Number one, shall I read this from the bottom up? I'll read this from the bottom up.
Okay.
Be patient with yourself. Mourning takes time. It's common to feel a mix of emotions for a while. 2019, my brother passed away, and when I told you about all that, yeah. Talk to your doctor. Be sure to let your healthcare provider know that you're having trouble with everyday activities like getting dressed, sleeping, or fixing meals. Consider professional support. Sometimes talking to a counselor about your grief can help. Join a grief support group in person or online. It might help to talk with others who are also grieving. Some people call that trauma bonding, but I don't necessarily say that because you can find, okay, I feel like this. Oh, well, damn, I felt like this too. And then y'all can it's just
It's relatable experiences.
linking that relatable experience and being able to link.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that.
it says it might help to talk with others who are also grieving. Check with your local hospice, hospitals, religious communities, and government agencies to find a group in your area. Try not to make any major changes right away. It's a good idea to wait a while before making big decisions like moving or changing jobs. Talk with caring friends, all right?
Yes. Not everybody ain't your friend.
They ain't. Took me a while to learn it, but I know it now. Let others know if you need to talk. I tell it no matter, I don't care what anybody's going through. I'm like, look, I'm all ears. They might be little, but I'm all ears. So I let them know that. And number one, take care of yourself. try to exercise regularly, eat healthy food, and get enough sleep, or avoid habits that can put your health at risk, like drinking too much or drinking too much alcohol or smoking. So those are like some of the ways that you can help, you know, help yourself grieving, and you can help somebody else, during this whole grieving process as well too, because like you said, it's not really related to death. I mean, one of the worst bouts of grief and depression I had in my life was when I left a 4-year relationship with a woman that that I thought that thought the world of me, only to, I'm not going to smatter her name, but let's just say it got real disrespectful. And I told this person, I said, hey, don't, whether you know it or not, you just put the iceberg directly into the Titanic. And she didn't know what I meant by that. And within a matter of months, I was gone. The bad thing about it was, um, when we first got together, she was pregnant and didn't know it, and she had a child, and I helped raise that child for 4 years. Once I knew that her mother and I was over with, I knew that I was gonna never see that child again, because I didn't trust the mom to do the right thing. I didn't know she was gonna do the right thing, because I literally had to tell her, I'm like, look, it's cool for this child to know that she has me as a father figure, but it's important to know that she has a living, breathing father over here too. And if he does the right thing, he'll get involved in her life. So I think I told her, I think it was October, sometime in October, I said, look, it's about time to end this. It's no longer working. It's where I'm not getting anything out of it. I know you're not getting anything out of it. I'm at the point now where it's the damage has been done. So I think it's time for me to go. Her words were, I knew it was going to happen, but I just didn't know when. Okay, so this further reassures me that you weren't going to fight for the relationship. I'll tell you what, I used to cry when I tell the story, but I'm going to tell it. So it was the night or the day before I left. I'd already quit my job, had everything packed up, waiting on my homeboy Reese to come get me. He was driving from New York to New Hampshire, he was going to drive back home. One of the funnest rides I've ever been on. And so as I think her father and her uncle came over to get a bed, because I think they was getting ready to get her out that duplex anyway. So I'm kind of looking around, I'm like, man, I'm about to get the hell up out of here. And so me and the child were just sitting there kind of playing around and everything. She don't know what's about to go on. Like the day before we went to Burger King, she's like, oh, this is my family. This is the cats, and this is mom, and this is Eddie. And I was like, she's 4, so she's not processing this, right?
Right.
So I spent my last few minutes with her. She's like, let's go. So I take her, put her in the car seat, give her a big old hug and a big old kiss. And I'm waving at her, and she's waving back, smiling, big old smile. And when she pulled out that driveway, going down the road, I hear her go, bye, Eddie. That thing tore me up. That's
Yeah.
been about, what's that, '09 to 1910, 21, 2, 3. That's been about 14 years ago. And it used to bother me badly, because even though this child wasn't biologically mine, never mind a mama, I had been grown tired of a mama. I felt like I left a child behind. I felt like I walked out on this child's life. Do you know how many years of guilt that just intruded my mind, intruded my heart, intruded my spirit? When people saw me when I first moved back down in 2009, man, Eddie Cool back, man, it's great to have you back home. But Eddie Cool was crushed inside. The first few nights I got home, I cried. I cried because I got so used to I got so used to people around the corner and hearing little footsteps. Eddie, can you play with me? Eddie, let's go outside. Eddie, can we check and I would just lay down and hear that in my head. It got to the point I was smoking real bad, drinking real bad. I put on about 30 pounds. I was hard to deal with. And, I remember walking on the porch one day and my mom said, "So, son, what's wrong?" I said, "Mama, I said, for the first time in my life, I said, Mama, my heart is legitimately broken." She said, "I know why, son."
Mm.
She said, you did the best you could by that woman and her child. Things happened. You saw for what it was and you left. She said, "Remember when you asked me, is it okay if I come back home?" She said, "Son, you helped pay for this house. This is always your home. You always have a home to come back to." And that was cool. And then I think the night of my 28th birthday, whoo boy, that was fun. So the night of my was it the night of my 20th? Did I come home? My birthday was it, or was it the year after? Uh, I forgot exactly when it was. I think it was the following year, maybe. No, 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 no. It was right before that Christmas. That Christmas, I I was trying to just maintain relationship with that child, and that child was 4 years old. That child didn't know what was going on. She probably thought Ed was going on vacation, coming back, but Eddie left and never came back. Now the child's not biologically mine, but I loved her just like she was my own. And it got to the point where it was kind of like, well, I was there for the fifth birthday party and the sixth birthday party. I haven't seen the child since 2011,
Mm.
the last time I ever saw her. And I just knew that at the time, I didn't feel like fighting her mother because it came to a point where we were fighting. I'm like, wait, we not even together. Why am I fighting? I said, damn, now I know how these dads feel trying to see their kids. But I just, it was just a situation as to where it just, her mother and I were both young in our early 20s doing all kinds of, just being young and everything and not being grown adults. But I remember, I think her mother helped Gracie put together a scrapbook, which I still have to this day. It's at my mom's house. And this is a scrapbook of me and her from the time we spent in South Carolina when we was born, the whole few years in New Hampshire up until like the last 2 or 3 months. When I tell you, I think the book said, "I love you, I miss you, I will always love you, and I love you." And it did, you can tell the baby had everything, and it just tore my heart it just it tore me up, and I went to a deep depression then, and I was grieving. I was grieving bad because I'm just over here like, man, this hurts. This is the kind of hurt that I never want to experience again. I never want to experience again. I know when her mother and I started dating, I didn't know if he was gonna get married. I had no plans. I had nothing, nothing. I had nothing. No car, no license. I had nothing. Not a dime, barely a dime to my name, nothing. But I knew I could be a good man to help with that child.
Right.
But it just got to the point to where it wasn't. It meant more to me to go back home with my pride as opposed to stay and be disrespected, and for her to think it was okay for. So here's what happened. Um, I went home for my family reunion back in 2008. She said, "Hey, by the way, her father's coming up." Great, cool. I like that. And her mother was like, "Well, he's staying here." Here, as in next door to your parents? She said, no, here. I said, whether you see it or not, from my point of view, this looks real sketchy and suspicious. I said, honey, if he up here, I'll I'll deal with him for the baby. I'll deal with him because of her. Because like I stated before, I had to put a foot in your ass of trying to get the ball in motion about her and him. They need to know about each other because that is biologically his. He can't run from it. If I'm around, um, oh, we gonna keep going. I ain't gotta be there. We will in about 10 minutes. I'm rolling now. Shit, I'm rolling. I said it's the fact that me knowing that I'll deal with him because of her.
Right.
I'll deal with him because of her, because like I told you before, I wanted you. I had to put a foot in the ass station like, hey, she need to know. It's cool I'm here, but she need to know. He's alive, he's well, he will be capable, but he needs to know. And so yeah, it just got to the point to where the fact that he came up there and he didn't think anything was wrong. Okay, well, he ain't here. It just seemed like those two, they kind of got what they wanted. Me out of the picture. It felt like that. Looking back hindsight, I used to be mad about it, but like looking back at hindsight, no. But looking back at hindsight, like, okay, well, that might have been the plan. So okay, well, if he come over here and you leave your shirt, you leave your drawers, which is what happened, he'll get mad and get up out of here. Congratulations, your plan was executed perfectly. It might have been time to get my ass out of New Hampshire any damn way. But
Right.
the fact of the matter is, it's just like going through that hurt of being disrespected. Um, and then walking out of that child's life. That thing tore me up. But now that child is now a college sophomore.
Okay, go ahead now.
Yeah, college sophomore. Um, shoot, she'll be 21 next year, next February. Her and my mother share the same birthday, so that's why this hits different.
Right.
And so it's just I have an open line of communication. Me and that me and that young adult now, we have an open line of communication. And the family knows I'm a good person. I haven't said anything to her mother in the past 12 years, nor do I intend to. No hard feelings, but it is what it is. It's best if I not if I ain't got to see you, I'll be fine. If I got to see you, I'll be cordial because she now has a husband and now has another child. So I can be cordial and I can be respectful. But the amount of grief that was put on me from late '09 to right about, I think by the time I was finished grieving that, had to be about 2015.
Yeah.
It was it was 2015. I made this decision. I'm like, look, man, you 30, you in your 30s. You gonna carry this on for the rest of your life? Because before this past relationship, I think it affected my relationship, the one before that. Because I was told by that woman at the time, like, hey, the way my girls, my girls are special, and which they are. They will always be special. You don't seem to glow. You glow when you talk about that child versus my girls. I said, let me break it down to you. Let's talk about trees, agriculture for a second. Plants, plants. Nurture, care, sunlight, soil, fertilizer. They need all that to grow. The first 4 years of this child's life, water, fertilizer, all the good stuff. All the good stuff it takes for a tree or a flower to flourish. Here, these are set, they're flourishing, but not from the ground up. they're out the ground. They're little small trees. But I'm gonna try the best I can to do it like that. And that's the best way, that's the best way I explained it to her. Because it's just like, it is. And like you said, that's another level of grief that it's not always somebody passing away, it's always, something being taken away from you in a sense. So
Yes.
damn, it's gonna wind up being a two-part. I like this.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah. So Miss Nikki Red, I think we've tackled grief on all spectrums.
I feel like we did. I think we did a really good job. Great
Yep.
job.
Yep, we did a really great job of it. You got
And
anything
look,
to
we made it through without. I don't think we shed a tear.
No.
I think we made it. We made it kind of personal.
Yeah.
And we hit on some really good points. So I think we did. I think we did a good job.
I think we did a great job too. Cheers,
Okay.
cheers to you. I want to stay 100% sober through this. So I've been drinking this big liter bottle of ginger ale.
No, wait a minute. Let me turn that around because I ain't.
Oh yeah, y'all ain't cutting no checks. Here you go.
There we go.
Hey,
Um,
you cut
I
checks,
can.
we show brands.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that note, I will say, we'll save the libations for later. Wink, wink. Yeah, I got a bottle waiting on me right now. I am not playing with you tonight. I'm not. Look, we are not playing.
That's when the podcasts get funner and funner. But yeah, so it's just yeah, grief is one of those things.
Part of
It's one
life.
of those and one of those things you never get over it. You just get through it to the best of your abilities. Miss Nikki Red, you got anything to say before we hit that button and get the hell up out of here? Because I got someone to beat.
No, right? Okay, so I'll make this quick. All right, so like you said, you never get over it,
Mm-mm.
and I just want anybody that has experienced that loss, be it the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship, the separation of your normal.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's okay. It is okay. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to feel how you're feeling. It's okay to experience that. It's okay. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not the end though, and that's the silver lining through it. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
end. It's the end for that season. It is not the end for everything.
Mm-hmm.
There will be brighter days. I literally just told my dad this the other day. Going through storms, going through those down times, trouble don't last always.
No, they don't.
So you gotta stay optimistic. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
stay positive. No matter how bleak the situation may look, you gotta stay with it. Stay the course, because in the end, when it's all said and done, the way that you always leave us in these episodes, your situation, your experience may be a blessing to somebody else,
Yeah.
and that's what you gotta focus on, being a blessing.
Yeah.
So that being said, ready, take us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, all y'all player haters, prognosticators, antagonists, protagonists, and everybody in between. There's been another episode of the Porch PursePectives podcast. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Be a blessing. That's where she got it from. Be a blessing, not a burden. Thanks for hanging out with us on the porch here at the Porch PursePectives podcast. Ain't that something? We wind up smiling after the grief episode. This is real therapeutic.
Yeah,
Very
it
therapeutic.
works for me.
All right,
And with that
y'all,
being said, see you guys next time.
y'all take care, and we'll see you around.